We've all been there. You set a big lofty goal, put a few days or weeks of hard work in, and at some point, deep down inside, the troubling thought crosses your mind. Am I going to be able to keep this up? Consistency is hard, and in this video, we'll cover 3 reasons why. Welcome to Falling to Systems, a channel dedicated to the idea that with time and consistency, we're all capable of transforming into who we admire today. My goal is to encourage you to aim high and make success inevitable. Hands down, consistency, or your ability to achieve a long win streak, is the single most important component of any personal transformation you're looking to achieve. Whether it's improving your health or making yourself financially bulletproof, consistency lies at the heart of durable behavior change. Despite our best intentions, a big reason why we fall off the wagon is because the systems we rely on to build a habit in the first place are in some way unsustainable. And this brings us to our first idea. Missing 2 times in a row is the first sign that your system is unsustainable. James Clear captures this well in his book Atomic Habits, where he remarks, "The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It's the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the start of a new habit." Missing twice is like the canary in the coal mine, giving you an early warning sign that you're headed off the wrong track. Unlike missing once, which can be due to just about anything life happens to throw at you, missing twice shows that there are areas of your system that need to be strengthened or made more flexible. When I was building my running habit, I was keenly aware of never missing twice, and anytime I missed a scheduled run, I was quick to diagnose whether the root cause was some one-off fluke or an indication of something that needed to change. For instance, after missing my scheduled runs on both weekend mornings early on, I realized that weekend morning runs were just not a good time for me to plan on. I needed to get real with myself about how I enjoyed staying up on Friday and Saturday nights. And rather than making my weekend bedtime earlier, I instead planned for my weekend runs to happen in the evenings. And then I also changed my cooking schedule to ensure that I didn't have to cook dinner on those nights. Waking up early on the weekend mornings just wasn't sustainable for me, and making this change ensured that weekend runs wouldn't be a problem anymore. An added benefit is that if you're successful at never missing twice, if you think about it, then you'll never miss more than 50% of your scheduled activities. And when it comes to building a win streak, I think this should be your definition of success. You're allowed to grow your win streak so long as you don't miss twice. If you do end up missing twice, dust yourself off, and then figure out what part of your system is unsustainable, address that, and then just get back on the horse. Similar to unsustainability, the next barrier to consistency has to do with dread. If you dread the next habit-building activity, you're very likely going to miss. Now, I know this sounds like super obvious, because it is, but the reason it's worth mentioning is because it kind of tackles an issue head on, and that issue has to do with willpower. We live in a culture and time that loves to celebrate discomfort and sacrifice. The idea of no pain, no gain causes us to feel like we're not making progress unless we're suffering in some way. I can clearly remember being so proud of myself after being massively sore after a frenzied gym week of visits early one January, in my 20s. Conversely, I can also remember feeling kind of disappointed with myself after going for a run and not being like totally winded at the end. I'm here to tell you that when you're looking to build a habit, there's no glory or pain in discomfort. If there's even a whiff of dread, when you consider your next action, giant red lights should be flashing in your mind that your consistency is likely at risk. The line between satisfaction and dread can be fine, however, so you'll need to check in with yourself regularly. Back to the gym example, working out will make you sore, and that's kind of the point. But the key is that you find the right balance that leaves you just sore enough to feel good, but not so sore that you dread going back to the gym tomorrow morning. I'm looking at you, leg day. The third barrier to consistency has to do with motivation. And a key idea here is that it's very hard to sustain your effort over a long period of time without feeling progress. If progress isn't regularly in the picture, it becomes all too easy to begin wondering if your time and attention couldn't be better spent doing something else. Again, James Clear has a great quote for this. "Habits often appear to make no difference until you cross some critical threshold and unlock a new level of performance. In the early and middle stages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. That valley of disappointment is real, but luckily there's a fix for this inevitable challenge. Progress is in the eye of the beholder. If you only count results and outcomes as progress, you're very likely to experience a long and demoralizing spell in the valley of disappointment, which itself is an existential threat to consistency. But if instead, however, you count effort and input, you'll find wind in your sails every time the needle doesn't seem to be moving. This was huge when I was initially building my most recent running habit. Instead of tracking my running pace, which I used to consider the yardstick of my abilities as a runner, I instead started tracking the total number of miles I ran since I started, as well as how many days I had logged without missing twice. The result was profound. During the third and fourth months, when the early gains level off and where I usually find myself deep in the valley of disappointment, I instead felt like a freight train, reliably covering just a little more ground this week than last. I reveled in the feeling and satisfaction of progress that accompanied each entry I made into my running journal. By the time I covered 500 miles, the compounding effects of my running habit had really started to show. I was regularly running 5 miles a day with ease. I was running at a faster pace in my late 30s than I was able to do in my mid-20s. And perhaps most important of all, I genuinely looked forward to the next run. So the 3 barriers to consistency that we covered here are all related. When setting up a new habit, pay very close attention to missing 2 times in a row, since it means something in your system is unsustainable. Take stock of any time you feel dread, since it means that you're probably overdoing it somewhere along the way. And finally, be sure to track input instead of output. Seeing evidence of progress during the time it takes for the results to start compounding is critical to sustaining your motivation and avoiding the dreaded valley of disappointment. Have you ever found yourself struggling with one or more of these challenges? If so, I'd love to hear about it. Please share in the comments below what you were trying to do, which of these challenges thwarted your effort, and if you ended up trying any of the solutions that we covered here. Avoiding barriers to consistency is one thing, but what if you've got a big lofty dream that you've got in your mind and you just don't even know where to start? Be sure to check out this video here to see how compounding systems lay the groundwork to achieving those crazy dreams. That's all for now. Thanks for visiting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.